So usually when we get a PO, what happens is in the background, bids have sales have done some work to understand what it's going to cost us, how we are going to execute this project and what will be the margin and all that. So when we get a PO, bids and proposals goes and creates a form, which they go in and put all this information. That form is called Q31. That's one of the forms you guys have, which shows the budget. So I'm going to show you where that form resides in the folder. So every time a new project is set up, there is a project folder which is made. So you guys all are aware there is a PCRS project directory and all the project folders lie in that, right? There is a standard template for how our folders are set up. You go to handover POVO, that's the folder, because that's the handover from sales to the project team, right? So when they do that handover, they're going to fill a form, and that's where they go in and kind of clarify what budget we have for this project. So there's an Excel file usually, which is called our Q31 file. So what that Q31 file is, it's basically multiple tabs showing details about that project. The reason I'm showing you this is whenever you start a new project, that's the most important file, which is kind of going to have all the information you need to start understanding that project before you even get into the handover meeting, right? So this project file, this file, the first tab, you're going to see the details about the project, who the customer contact is, if there's any milestones, delivery details. As you keep going, it also tells what is the total cost or what is the total price of this PO. What's the revenue related to this PO, right? So that's the total value customer is going to pay you when you are finished with this project. That's your total value. Also, based on the total value, bids have determined what our potential cost should be on the project, right? This is done by a WBS, a work breakdown structure. They're going to split dollars into different buckets and figure out what it's going to cost us. So that's total cost. So they take this lump sum price minus the cost becomes your job profit, which is also calculated in percentage of work, right? So it's a pretty simple day-to-day math. The important part I want to show on this, and there are multiple tabs in here. There is some engineering info, work breakdown structure. The important part for this topic is the financial breakdown. So what they do is they take the planned budget. Either they use this breakdown structure to come with the planned budget, or sometimes take the planned budget and spread it into the work breakdown structure, depending on what kind of homework has been done before. But what they do is, it's very hard to manage a project when you just put a lump sum, right? So when you have a lump sum, let's say I have $200,000 to use on a $300,000 price of the project. If I don't have the buckets spread it out, I won't know what my expenditures are going where I'm going over, where I'm going under, what's not working, what's working. So it's very important to do this work breakdown structure, and you kind of make buckets of the major items you're going to be dealing with. So fasteners, elastomers, forgings, machining, that's our kind of standard work breakdown. Over the years, we have figured out that these are the main kind of buckets where our charges are going to happen, and we spread the budget accordingly. Now, some of you are here from engineering perspective. You might not have a work breakdown structure, right? You might just have a lump sum budget. Your first job would be to figure out what are the things you're going to be working on, break it down into manageable chunks, and kind of allocate budgets to it. It might not look exactly like that. It might look like that. So you can use this as your basis, but you have to go and figure out how you want to spread those budgets, right? And we'll talk more about those engineering projects and the assignments. But that's your first clue. That's where your budget starts. So if you take this total, that's going to match the total of the cost you were seeing outside, right? So that's basically the start of it. So what happens? How the dollar flows, right? So you got the PO. Now you decided the budget. Finance is going to take this information and they're going to plop it into the month-end file. So we'll go back over here. This project file. Under project management, usually in the project folder, under project management, you will see a folder called financials in month end. Every month, the financials are run. So you want to track your project against the budget every month, right? So you want to say, start of the project, these are the budget set, and then you want to see what you're spending against that every month. So let's open one of the files. So what this file is we call it end of the month file. One of the key things of this file is it's kind of a summary version of what's going on in your project. I'm going to run you through some of the periphery details on this file, then we'll jump into the main contents. So this file, when Enrique and his team built this file, they go and plot the information about the project in here. So all the green cells you guys are seeing over here is information from Q31 from sales. Right, so they take some of that information and transpose it over here. Right? All the yellow ones are either filled by accounting, or sometimes PM has to go and update that. And the orange ones are filled by project managers. So when we go through the cells, those are kind of color-coded to see who does what in the forms. Right? So Enrique and his team would go and make this first file. And what they would do is they will put the project revenue, they'll put the budget, they'll put the job profit and all that information, and as and when you have variations happening in the project. So if you have internal project, you might not have variations. If you have a customer project, there might be variations coming. The variation order comes in, you go and put that in and add the budget to your actual budget, and it will show you the new JP. Those are the details we'll get into later. But for initial first time around, what you do is, or what Enrique and his team is going to do is, they're going to take all the budget shown on the Q31 and put it over here as your budgets. Right? So you're going to see these numbers, budgeted cost, show up over there. That's your first start of the budget. As and when the project goes on, you're going to cut POs, you're going to have labor charge to it, all that different stuff is going to be hitting different buckets based on AWS. And you'll start seeing some actual charges to it. So the actual cost is when a PO is received or when actual timesheets are entered and approved, those costs will be hitting over here. There'll be also cost which will be in this bucket or this section, which is open POs. So when you have POs cut but they are not received, they will show up over there in that bucket, right? And two important terms you guys want to remember if you're not accustomed to financial world: EAC and ETC. EAC is estimate at completion. So what EAC does, what you see over here, is it takes your actual cost and your open POs and what you're saying, I'm going to need more. It sums all that up and say, that's what this guy is thinking he's going to be done at. So for this bucket, he thinks he'll be done at 6,048. But for this bucket, he's going to be done at this number, right? So that's estimated completion. So it takes a couple of things. It takes your actual cost, and it takes open POs and other things, plus whatever you're saying, ETC is estimate to complete, right? So EAC is estimate at completion, ETC is estimate to complete. So this sheet doesn't know where you are at on the project. So it is asking you, tell me how much more money I'm going to need for this bucket, which is your manual entry. You're going to put this as manual entry, because this is the orange cell. You as a PM or you working on the project, you're going to enter that. You're going to enter that for every cell. Now, if you don't know too much details, you keep it as it is, where the budget is good enough, and I'm going to keep that as what I'm going to need to finish that. As and when the granularity starts in the project, you're going to start refining that value. You're going to start putting, I know that I've cut 3 POs, I'm going to need one more PO, which is going to be about $1,200. I'm going to put $1,200 in there, right? Now it can be higher than your budget, it can be lower than your budget, but you're going to put it in there because you want to have a true understanding of what your project looks like. So that's going to show you your ETC. I'll miss this column for a reason. I'll come back to it. But the two key things you want to remember is ETC and EAC, because ETC is what you're going to input, EAC is what you want to look at, because you're comparing your EAC to the budget all the time, right? So when your EAC goes up or down to the budget, so we move on this section of the file. So when you start going up or down on your EAC, there is a column where it says variance from budget. So we are measuring it against the budget. My budget was so much, and I think I'm going to be ending here. So that variance is going to be important. And as per SOX compliance, which is Sarbanes-Oxley Act done after Enron? Yes. After Enron, they came with Sarbanes-Oxley Act. What they say is, rather than just telling us at high level, tell us at a micro level, once you start going off your budget, why and what, so we understand where this project, this task, this business is going, right? So for everything which is going negative 5%, we try to go and put some kind of explanation there. Right? So here, if you see this, you put some explanation of why it's going in that direction.
That red cell is an auto populate.
Is an auto populate.
So as soon as you put something in your ETC that changes, just
so let's say on this one I think I need $80,000 more.
Yeah.
It's going to show. It's going to change the code as per, if it's more than 10%, it's going to be like super red. If it's within 10%, it's magenta, or 5 to 10 it's magenta, and then it's within up 1 to 5 it's gray. And so there's some color coding to it. But when you start seeing that, understand that something is not happening right. Now sometimes you're going to have some budget left on this bucket because you're done turnkey over here. So in this particular case, things were done turnkey on forging, but the budget was in machining. So the machining got lower where forging got higher, right? So but you can explain that. You have to explain that in your comments saying, this is what went on. I had to do some turnkey work, which is charged to the forging task. So the machining is going to be lower where the forging is going to be high. So every month you want to do that. And the reason for doing that is you want to track it so that you don't go completely over budget, or if there is course correction needed anymore, you can do that course correction. So coming back to R&D. R&D is revenue not voucher. So there is a limbo state, in lack of better words, it's a limbo state, where POs sometimes are received, but they are not vouchered. So, Enrique, you want to expand on that?
So vouchered meaning they're not paid yet. AP hasn't paid the invoice. We hadn't received the invoice and AP hasn't paid it. So when they pay it, they create a voucher.
So sometimes when things are in that state, it's still received. We have the parts. So it's still value added to our business. So the reason R&D is important is we do point-in-time revenue recognition. So this is all cost, right? We all talked about cost so far. You're putting cost, you're showing cost, you're saying how much more I'm going to need. Let's talk about the revenue. So as a business, we want to say how much revenue we have made every month. The way revenue is calculated for point-in-time type of project, which most of our projects are point-in-time, is every time we add value, we want to recognize revenue on it. How do we say we add value? If you see something as an actual cost, or if you see something in R&D, which is we have the part but we haven't vouchered it, those two values become our revenue recognized revenue. Yeah.
So the actual cost is when the payable have already sent in.
Correct. So so that actually will move into column G, right?
So it will jump from H to G.
When it's vouchered, it goes.
Correct.
So let's say this $26,000 is received, but they're not vouchered. Next month you'll see that 26
Jump into that one. Okay.
Column G. So they don't duplicate each other. One it travels. If you literally want to see, it travels.
Yeah.
It goes from here to here to here.
Yeah.
And depending on what stage you catch it, you will see that snapshot in that stage. So for us, these two figures. So this is the total, right? This is the total value. This is the total of actual cost. This is the total of revenue not voucher. These two figures make our revenue. So this cost times my current JP makes my revenue. That's what I can recognize. I cannot recognize open POs because it's still open, it's out there, and I haven't got the parts to add value to my business. So open POs are not part of our revenue. However, open POs are part of your ETC calculation because you have already committed to pay that, so you might as well go and account for it, right? So they're part of your ETC calculation, they're not part of your revenue calculation. So Again, it's pretty simple, straightforward once you understand it. All the auxiliary info kind of stays in here. And once you do this, you don't have to touch it too many times. All your totals for those same columns reside over here. Right? And those totals are also copied over on the top. So it shows the summary of your current month, where you ended this current month, and it also shows the summary of your previous month. So what Enrique and his team would do is they would copy that line, the bottom line of the previous month, and paste it over there. So you know where you were the last month, how much money you had in actual cost, how much money you had in all this, and how much ETC. This is the important one, right? How much EAC you were saying you're going to do last month, and now how much you're saying. So what happened was, previous month, this guy was saying, I'm going to need $150,000 to finish this project, right, total, including what I've spent and what I'm going to need more. This month, he's saying, I'm going to need less, because certain things might have transpired, he might have figured out some POs, the total cost has become less, he might zero out some ETCs, right? So that's a quick comparison for you to see where you were last month and where you are now. So based on that, it also calculates your current job profit. So what you saw in Q31 was your as-bid job profit. When the project started, what was your job profit? Then this current scenario shows your current scenario shows your current job profit, because that's what you think you can provide back to the company, right? Based on your current cost plan, this is what you'll end up. Any questions so far? Good? All right. So there are a few more things over here. There's a little sign box over here where project manager and project group manager would sign to confirm that what I'm saying is the factual scenario. And that's because what you want to do is you're going to take these numbers, roll it all up as a business, as a project and as a business, and you're going to roll it all up as a division, and you'll roll it all up as a company, and you're going to go to the market saying, this is what I'm going to be doing this month. So there's a lot more stake if people start lying on this file, that you might show in a dollar value of 200 million, where 3 months later we are going to be like, I can only do $50 million. Right? So there's a lot at stake. So we want to make sure that people who put information there actually can stand behind saying that's the best information I have as of today. Now, stuff is going to happen. There might be issues. You might have to spend more money. As long as you can explain it, that's okay. But as of today, what you know should reflect in there. And you want to sign it. So if you guys will be working on NPD projects, as an engineer, you guys will be signing as PMs. Your PMs will be signing in the column above. So they are actually sitting with you, understanding what you guys are putting, and they'll be as a backup signing on it. There's also a little column for milestones over here, but we are going to change that. We're moving away. We're putting milestones in a consolidated file so we can track all of it together. But should not affect it. So another thing goes on. So everybody's clear so far. Cost is good, right? And you guys know what the revenue columns are. Another thing going on over here is there's a little calculator sheet or calculator section going on, which is Enrique would go and put information about inception to date. So what project has done so far? Since it started till this date, how much money it has spent. And based on that money spent, he's going to calculate percentage of complete. Right? What that percentage of complete defines is, if you had $100,000 cost to spend, and you spent $50,000, you're approximately at $50,000 completion percentage. You go and recognize that as revenue. So this is where it starts getting a little twisty. Every month, well, I'll come to this later. So every month, what you're going to do is you're going to go and do some forecasting too. So actual cost is actual cost. It's all in the past, right? You already saw the POs. You already had that cost fit to you. Now, the future. So just doing the past is not important. We also need to depict the future, right? So how are we going to depict the future? So there's another sheet to this. What that sheet does, it keeps all your tasks from the front sheet, It takes all your different tasks, and it puts the ETC, the dollar amount you're saying I'm going to need to finish that task, estimate to complete. It's not your EAC, it's just the ETC, right? The leftover dollar amount. And what it does, so let's check one, right? So machining, we had 23,750. That's the amount on an open PO. Like I mentioned to you guys, the only items recognized are actual cost and R&D. So minus actual cost and R&D, everything over here should show up on this side. So your estimate to complete and open POs would show up over here, because that's the amount which is still left to recognize on the project. So what you have recognized, we are not worried about because that's in past. What you use is the leftover amount, which is open POs and estimate to complete as your leftover amount. So you take that amount, it's automatically populated, right? So it picks up all the value. And what you do is you take that amount and spread it based on the month it's going to hit your project. So each month is going to have, so when we can make your file, he's going to have the months from this point onwards over there on the file. And what you do is you take this dollar and you spread it. So let's say this 23,750, the forging, it's machining, right? So let's say I'm going to a machining company. There is Jet and there is Roberts. And Roberts is going to happen in month of November. His PO is going to be, it's due in month of November, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to receive it. Jet's PO is going to happen in December. So I'm going to split those, and I'm going to say that, $20,000 is happening over here, and then 3,750 is going to happen here. This is also auto color and all that. So if you put a wrong amount over here, if I put 3,755, it's going to tell me that my total plan spread doesn't matches what I have for budget. So you'll need to make sure that what you spread is same as your budget. So you want to go and correct that. It matches. So all it is doing is saying all the dollars I'm saying in different buckets, how that is spread across different months, right? So you take and spread all that amount across different months, and it takes that value, multiplies it with your JP, takes your cost, so 2270, it takes your cost and multiplies it with the current JP and tells you that's the revenue you're going to generate for that month. So what happens is, first time around when you go and build this file, you're going to have all your budget as ETC. You're going to spread it out. You're going to get these numbers, which are your revenue numbers, right? You're going to take these numbers and populate it in the summary file. We have a forecast summary file. So it's very hard to go and hit each project and figure out what's the forecast and how. So what we do is we keep all this in a summary file. So each project is there, and we can look at the forecast and JP and all that real quick. So most of you guys should have seen the summary file. If not, then that's the file you all will be starting to work or touch in some form or fashion. Have you guys seen this file before?
Yes.
So what this file is, it has PMs and it has the projects and then some other information, then how that revenue is spread, right, for the project. So what you saw, each one of these guys would take their end of the month file, spread the ETC, and then come up with this revenue number based on the current JP. They'll take these numbers and go to the summary file and paste those numbers based on the months. And you can literally take this whole series and just paste it based on when that month is starting. So now you have a summary of what that project is going to be doing every month. Not the detail lies over here. All the detail of what the breakdown is lies here. Just the summary gets copied over there. Is it good? Why you want to do that? So we talked about the past. the actual cost. And we talked about forecast. Just looking at your project is not going to give the information Enrique would need or Phil would need to see how the whole business is going to be doing. Right, so this summary file is important, and even for projects, as a project manager, you want to see your portfolio. You want to see how many projects you have, what they're doing in one snapshot. So it has your current JP, your as-built JP, and your forecast spread in this file. So some of the engineering projects or NPD projects we were talking about will be staying in a different file. So I'll share this file with everybody. So in case you don't have the access, you're going to get the access after this meeting. So there's a file called PCRS Inventory Service Forecast. And in this file, so that file, the first one we saw, we just keep projects in there. Here we keep inventory, installation support, and development projects. Some of the engineering development projects are going to stay here. And as you see those budgets, you see there is no spread over here. You guys are going to do the same exercise I was talking about. You're going to split the budget into WBS. You're going to spread it based on what we think we're going to be using. Sometimes it's a guess, sometimes it's a hard number, but you have to do best effort guesstimate to make sure that you kind of split it out, not just keep everything in one place. So that we know, as a business, at what point we're going to be spending the money across the time. We'll come back to this. All right, so there is two things going on over here. You see there is nothing in the months before. So what you do is, as and when the month changes, the previous month is going to be deleted. The reason why is previous month has become past, right? This sheet is only about future. It's what you have left to spend and how is that going to be spent. So the past is already actual cost, right? So that section is going to be deleted. And you're going to do this, take the value and spread it from this month onwards. The reason to do that is if I keep, let's say last month I had $2,000 revenue on this side, it's going to throw off my number because all I'm dealing with is the leftover amount. I'm not dealing with the already spent amount. Also, whatever your actuals are, you're going to plop it in here. So from the front sheet, what you're going to do is, for this current month, you have an actual cost and an actual revenue. Those two numbers, you're going to take and paste it in your this month, or whatever this month you're finishing. So instead of whatever the fake value was, or your planned value was, now you have actuals to put instead. Make sense? So you go and put actuals over here, and then delete everything else for that month, because all you're dealing with is with the future months. This is where it might get a little complicated. So first time around, we have assigned PMs with you. They are your mentors. Feel free to sit with them, or PMs I would even, including PCs. I have some of you guys, working with the engineers for the NPD projects, right? So sit with them, make sure we review and put the correct information. So first couple of months, it might take some time to see what information needs to be deleted and what we put as actual. Enrique is the owner of all these files. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact him. You can come to me, but your PM is your first point of contact.
Who deletes the, Enrique deletes the rows or the columns?
When that sheet is delivered to you at month end, it's done.
So these two columns, or these two cells are important, because that's the information you take and transpose every month to the second sheet, because that's your actuals. Enrique won't go and do that, because once we adjust the ETC, that number changes. So if he...
Yeah, that's correct. Go.
Could you go over how the GP is calculated one more time?
So basic JP formula.
Not the formula.
Okay.
How is this variable, or is it just calculating from the data that is available, or are we able to?
From the data which is available. So if you pick this cell, right, for the current month, what it's doing is it's saying what was the revenue, right? What was my job profit dollars? Where did the job profit dollars come from? They are taking your revenue minus the cost. As it stands today, this is my revenue and this is my cost. And this is my job profit. And that's the percentage calculated for that. So, inception to date, current month, allows you to calculate the POC. Because that's your, from the time project started till this month, the total amount, right? So, inception to date, current month, that's the total cost we have spent on the project since the project started. That's the total revenue we have gained on the project since the project started.
And that revenue is based off of?
All the revenues you've been doing every month, right? So you did 30,000 last month, you did 20,000 this month. Your total inception to date revenue should look like 50,000. So it's a lot of information to churn. If you want to click on the formulas and look at how this is working, feel free to do that. If not, remember these two are important for you because that changes when you go and change your ETC, and it defines what your current profit looks like. Your cost won't change because your cost is same, right? This is not changing. You don't have any way to change that. You don't have any rights to change that. However, you're going to change this, and that's going to change your JP, and that's going to depict your. So it might look like a lot of information, but it's easy once you start doing it, and so something you will see different for NPD projects. You will have no JP because you will be forecasting cost because there is no profit to it. Right? So you will have that as a difference when you look at it. So we have three different lines of business. We have projects, we have inventory, and we have service. The way projects work is different than the way inventory and service will work. Because project, we gain the revenue as we go along. Inventory, since it's a standard product and we can sell to any customer, we only gain the revenue on it when the product is shipped or the Incoterms are completed. This might not be important for everybody, but for PCs and PMs, if you look at the forecast file on that, let's look at the inventory. So you see the total value over here, and you will usually see the total value all dumped in 1 month. The reason is we only gain revenue on it once it's shipped or once the Incoterms are met. So the Incoterm is X works, then as soon as you send EMO saying we're ready to ship, it's done. If the Incoterm is CIF or CFR, then your Incoterms are fulfilled when it's on the ship, or your Incoterms are fulfilled when it's on the port over on the other side. So you can only recognize revenue when it's there. Again, it's just terminologies, but it's important for you guys to know that how it works. Installation support works on a very similar method as and when we finish the work, right? So let's say the technician is there supporting an installation for 2 months. 1 month, we recognize the revenue of everything he has worked on for that month. So all the timesheets, all the toolbox rental, everything for that month is recognized in that month. For the next month, if he's there for 15 days, we recognize another 15 days. Right? So it just works slightly different. Then on the development projects, you will only see the cost. So back to the sheet. Time to time, you're going to have variations. You're going to add the variation order, whatever that approved amount was, put some description over here, then add the budgeted amount for that variation within that budget. So what it's going to do is it's going to up your budgeted cost with VORs. It's going to up that cost. It's going to depict a new JP. So let's say an example. I've sold the project already. Then customer wants extra studs, right? When you do a VO, you decide the margin on it. Sometimes based on the project and the customer and the urgency of the need, you might have a higher margin on it. So you have your project at 30% margin. You sold your VO at 45% margin. When you go and add that VO, which is, let's say the VOR was for $10,000, right? And that's gonna cost me $2,000 in my fasteners. So I'm gonna go here and say additional $2,000. It's always good to put some notes like you see over here so that you know what you added in that cell. So it's just a good housekeeping to put some notes so that you know, because 2 months later you're gonna forget why I did that, right? So you added this, your budget went up, right? Last month it was 111, now it's 113. So your budgeted cost with VR is new, and your as-bid JP with VRs went up. So your original as-bid JP was 30%. The new as-bid JP is 34%, because you sold something at a higher JP value, and it just bumped. It won't have the full impact because the value is smaller. We'll bump up our JP a little bit. The reason we want to see that is you're putting a new baseline, right? So when you're gauging your project, how well I did, you're not gauging against this anymore. You're gauging against that, right? Because that's your new JP with the VR. So you always want to see what your new baseline JP is with the VR. So this was kind of a crash course. You saw how the value came in from PO, it became your budget, then you started having some actual cost, you transferred that cost into revenue, that revenue is flowed out, and that's what Enrique would say. This month we planned for having $2 million in revenue, but we did 2.2 because all the projects together showed that as a revenue number. And that's flowed down to subsea manufacturing products. Subsea manufacturing products will have their own revenue, and then flows down to oceaneering. Oceaneering shows their own revenue. That's what you see per quarter, per month as our oceaneering result. So what you do over here from PO to budget goes all the way up to the oceaneering final numbers, right? Enrique, Patrick, would you guys like to add anything else?
Just ask questions, because it's challenging every month. We've done this for 4 or 5 years now, and it's still, you got to make sure the cells match. You got to make sure the formulas are dragging to the right section. If you add lines in, as soon as one thing gets thrown off the sheet, turns into a cluster. So just watch it from month to month. Most months I will have last month's sheet open at the same time that I have this month's sheet open, so I can see those movements from open POs to R&V to actual cost to make sure that it's moving the right direction. If you have a requisition that you put in the system that you eventually cancel, it may still show up here, and that's a potential overspend. It's a potential miss.
So there are some nuances to this, right? To our system. It's not to this, but
right.
To our system where things might show wrong. So you have to have a good idea about your project to identify those things. Because you see it over budget and you have no clue, you won't be able to figure it out.
It seems like with an MPD project, you're going to be making a lot more changes than you would if you're building a standard SFTP. So making sure that you're good with what you purchased, what's on a PO, what got canceled, things like that.
So one of the files I haven't showed you guys, and I was planning to show you, was, like Patrick mentioned, you see a cost over here, there is an overrun, and you have like, what's going on? Why do I have this cost? There's another file in the folder, which is the detail file, which is where all this summary is coming from. So let me open that file. So what Enrique and his team does, they build this file, or they run a macro to build this file. And this file has summary of each of your tasks. So let's take this, 202. So if I had an overrun on 202, I want to go and see what POs were cut. So this is just
it's too big.
Yeah. So you want to see what POs were cut and what's making that value, right? What's making that value, total value, which is showing as total cost on my project. If I see the POs, so it shows the part numbers which are bought, the PO numbers, and which company it went to and all that, and description. If that's something which was like, well, it shouldn't be on this, or we decided not to buy it, or that's somebody else's project, that will start throwing off your values. Right? So you want to, when you see anomaly, jump to this file to see what's building up that total. And sometimes you'll realize, oh yeah, that's my project. I just screwed up, it's gonna be over. But at least you know why, right? So you have to go to details every so often to see what happened, why it's not what you expected. So once you have to jump to this, there is some work. If you're looking at the summary, it's kind of easy. But once you have to start jumping to this, back and forth, there's some work. So if you need 3 screens, he has 3 screens, he can sit on his computer and look at all the 3 files at the same time. But that's where some of this comparing the files would come into place, where you have this open on one screen and you have your end of the ones open on one screen, and you see this task is over, why?
Most of the time Enrique just says, yeah, you did the wrong thing, and that's just the answer.
We do call him a lot during those few days.
He answers every one of his calls.
Hey, Enrique, what's going on over here? Why this showed up? And then he will help us kind of navigate what happened there. All right, so that's an important file. Not that you will need to see it every time, but that's what you go to if you have detailed questions.
So just from my understanding, from that first column, budget cost, I'm assuming all 3 of these handouts are from the same job.
Yes.
So the original Q31 shows a budget of $113,998, but then the current month is $111,998, which is $2,000 less. Where's that coming from?
Did he give a credit?
So
Potentially somewhere?
if there was an LD, look at was there an LD or something?
It's Logan's job. So
Yeah, so
it's not
that's kind of
surprising.
where those little notes that he was referring to kind of come in handy.
Yeah.
If you're gonna be removing anything or replacing it in a different area, and you might want to place those notes somewhere to kind of understand that.
It's $113,990.
Yeah, but if you go up that column to the current month summary, it's $111,998.
Previous one.
Well, on mine, it shows, previous month.
Because I went and added the $2,000 back in there.
There's a little red mark in there, maybe Logan put a little note down.
This one it is flipped. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, it's flipped on the actual paper handout compared to what you have on the screen.
It's also October.
Yeah.
Oh, there is a note
October.
there.
I think he was looking at November.
Yeah.
There's a 2K note. What's that?
Yes.
Yeah. Click back in now right click.
Right here, look. $1,000 there. This is $2,000 here.
So he moved some stuff around, maybe.
Moving here.
No, that was just, we are adjusting the budget. They were off. But usually that's not the case,
So
right?
these,
So I think.
these
I
3
think,
right here.
Yeah.
He was moving the budget between, engineering, shipping.
Initially, they would sometimes give a budget which might be off, and then we'll readjust it to, because we will know the actuals where they're coming, right? Or we'll be using some buckets, to, let's say the elastomer guy is also making something else. So that will kind of adjust the budget sometimes. But the total shouldn't change. The total remains the same, because our total budget is still the same. Nika, you like to add anything?
No, I mean, I think to Patrick's point, I mean, it's obviously this spreadsheet's a lot formula driven. So if you are gonna zero out your ETC and you put a budgeted cost, just make sure you go back and put that formula or just manually put in back your ETC. So stuff like that, can, eventually down the road cause maybe problems or misstatements.
So good point there. Make sure your ETC should never be negative. Right? So if you keep things formula driven, and this becomes $8,000, you're gonna have a negative over here. You should never have a negative. So initially the things are formula driven, but as PM on the project, it's important that you go and hit each cell and make a judgment if I'm gonna keep the formula as it is, that's fine, or I'm gonna put my own value because I know better information now. But there shouldn't be any reason for having negative number, because that's going to throw off your project, that's going to throw off your JP, that's going to throw off everything.
It will show up to you like this, because they're not making that decision. So when month end hits and the file shows up in the folder, it will look like that. And you just have to you have to go line by line.
good point. Phil, would you like to add anything?
Yeah,
I think?
actually, I popped in because there was one comment I wanted to make to everybody in the room. Once these files are shared with you, when you have access to these files, every one of these files are business sensitive, right? So it's business confidential. That means these files don't get left laying on tables. If you print them out for whatever reason, just like we've done today, they go in the shred bin. They don't go in the trash cans, right? We don't want these things getting out to the public. Okay?
Fair. Again, these are all signed, wet signed, and kept for the records. And we do get audited from time to time by E&Y, which is our auditor. In fact, Enrique had a couple of audits last year.
Yeah, I mean, this form is an audited document, so when we get audited and the selection is made, we hand over the PM sheet, we hand over the cost summary sheet, and through other various controls, we also hand over like the Q31s that we have a PO, things like that. So, I mean, you're signing it, so you're making sure that you're certifying that it's accurate and correct.
Good. Guys, just for housekeeping purposes, I wanted to get a sign-in. So, sorry for not printing it out this one. Yeah, if you don't mind, please. Thank you.
So,
Any? Yeah, go ahead.
So, you know, to Chito's point, I took the liberty for those, I don't know if you were gonna talk about those developmental projects.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit those. Yeah.
There's folders set out there in the PCRS project with the new project numbers. They're set up structured as a project that would run through the PM team. And there's also an in-the-month sheet already created based on any previous WBSs that were there. So if you need to add anything, you know, let us know and we can go into PeopleSoft and add any other WBSs that you might need.
So, we have a mixed crowd in here. There are some who are seasoned PMs, some from new to the PM world, or at least new PM world to the PCRS, and then some engineering folks. So, the initial intention was to start with the new people we had, but then it quickly grew at wings where we wanted to, you know, have engineers and other guys kind of learn through the process since the NPD project was going to start. So, I'm going to spend a few minutes on the NPD project assignments and what Phil and PK and Enrique and myself, we have kind of figured as what we will do. So this might be extra information for some of the guys, but feel free to hang tight or if you guys need to jump on something. So your sheet where you will be working for NPD projects is this tab, development projects on the PCRS inventory service forecast, right? So we have two forecast files, mainly, towards. One is the projects, and then one is the inventory service. Development projects are part of that. A few of the projects you see in green over here are the projects which Phil and Enrique have budgeted for this year for us to be working on. Horizontal connector, graphite seal clamp, DNV RP113, smart lens, smart vent. Along with PK, we made assignments as far as who will be the PM and PC, or PM and PD on it. There are some projects where we have our key PCs working as PMs in it because, you know, it's a growth opportunity for all of us, as well as the stages of the projects where they are, it's going to add value from the knowledge you guys bring with the build and the parts and all that. So, Derek, you and Rishi are already working on the horizontal connector because it's just massive and we'll need actually both of you guys with Eric Zelforo. So one of the things we'll have to do, he has already set up the project folders. I hope the end of the month files are dropping in.
They're already in there.
They're already in there. So our first task would be, for all the NPD projects, would be to figure out the WBS, right? You take this budget allocated to you, see what's left, and how the dollar value is going to be distributed. Now, if your budget is going to be needed more or less, show that. But that's your first cut at the month at the end of the month file. The expectation is that the end of the month file for month ending February, you have those ready, right? So first week of February, you're going to have end of the month for month ending January. first week of February. You don't need to have things ready for that. But you have 4 more weeks by the time February closes, which March first week we'll sit down to look at the end of the month file. Your file should be ready. As PEs, you should have put your WBS, your actual cost, what you need in there, and as PMs, you will have to sign what they're putting, right? So PEs will sign it, PMs will sign it, and we'll show that as what our plan is. And we'll also put the forecast based on the dollars you think you'll need for the next few months or all the months, what that project is going to work for.
Potentially an exception to that would be the horizontal canal, because of the pace that it's moving at, right? And when we expect it to be complete.
Yeah.
I say that potentially.
And when you say exception, you might be preponing it, not postponing. Like, yeah. Elastic clamp, graphite seal clamp. Again, same goes for you guys. You know, end of the month, March, first week, DNV RP113. The expectation, and PK, I'll let you set the expectation for your team. But as engineers, this is the opportunity for you guys to do things as PM. So you guys are still the main stakeholders here. PMs are there to mainly help you, be mentor, but at the same time, I want the PMs to be fully aware of what's going on in the project. So if we go and ask a PM something, if they don't know, you haven't copied them on the emails, you don't talk to each other, that's not going to be acceptable. So you guys need to be tied to the hip, but you guys are the stakeholders. You guys get to run this as a project on your own. With the help of the support of the PM, but make sure they're tied in. They have the information about the project all the time. Yeah. So, PK, anything else you want to add?
No, that's very well said. So this is something that I think Team Group has been running, and it's a very good sheet to understand. I think I'm guessing we all do some of this at home as well, right? I mean, we all have finances at home. This, and it's a very good opportunity to learn this. I've done it onesies, twosies on some of the projects, and yeah, absolutely you have to run this. So you will see that, and I think by the third time you do it, you'll figure it out. So, but I do want to see this every month as well. I'm sure Chippa wants to see this, so I do want to see it as well. You guys are not.
Okay. Charles, anything? Good? Derek? Good? Rishi? Duke?
I think just one comment, going through all this, definitely important to get everything in the right buckets.
Yep.
So just to reiterate, Rex coming across, making sure that everything's in the bucket to begin with. And an awesome tool to ensure those that they're going the right way is that report that I send out every single Monday. Cross-references everything that's open, shows you all the task, are they going to the right task, or they're not going to the right task, or have you changed your mind and wanted to go somewhere else? So it's, I don't think the PMs have used that, but I think it's a really good tool to use exactly for that reason.
Yeah.
Recs that are showing open, just like you were talking about. So discovering that something, and it was on that report too, there's a little tab that's got all the open racks. One from Charles had been open for a really long time, and it was causing problems. So that's a tool that PMs can use as well, just to keep all that on track.
Yep.
It's good to you, and so when Enrique was asking about the WPS and WPS numbers, so this is what Chippa showed on the other side was that is standard for a project, right? Development project, we might want to understand the cost going to a certain other bucket as well. Like you have a specific vendor that you're working with, there's a specific group that you're working with that you're trying to see the cost associated with. You can drop a whatever that is called, WBS number or task number to it, and associate all the costs to it. That way, at the end of the day, you can monitor that cost.
Yep.
Understand what it is.
It's the WBS, the definition of WBS is related to the manageable chunk you want to monitor it to, right? So You want to make it to a chunk where you want to monitor, so like PK mentioned, if you want to track it to inventory transfer, you want to track it to what we are spending with STNR, you want to track it to whatever, you break that chunk into that bucket, and numbers are free. Enrique can create whatever numbers you want, and we'll assign the budget.
Yeah, we shouldn't forget to distribute those numbers. Make sure we create it, then we gotta use them.
Yeah. Good point, thank you. Steve, good? Ilya? Chen?
I'm good.
Guys good?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys, thank you for your time, and, we'll kick it off, and if there's any questions, my door is always open. First go to Enrique though.
That's a lot. Hey, just, again, guys, I wanna stress the importance, I just wanna make sure you're driving this, or grasping confidentiality, right? It's the most important, because the product development stuff, for a lot of you guys, this is the first time that you're seeing things that we were implementing or we're working on that are actually for competitive advantage, right? So you walking out the door and running over to your buddies that may work at Oil States or Hydrotite or Titan and talking about what we're doing, that's not a good idea, right? Confidentiality here is of the most important. Sorry?
Excellent. All right, thank you guys. Thank you.